questions inside their organization. Feel free, panelists, to just raise your hands, the first one that wants to start this debate. The first question is going to be, what does your organization do and what is your role? Second off, we have, can you tell us a little bit about your data and analytics journey? Then what are some of the common challenges with building a data and analytics strategy? How do you address those challenges? Can you share some of the best practices for the organization? And what are the best practices for small organization in order to have a data-driven company? Again, I had the possibility to have this one-on-one beforehand. I've listened to the stories that they have to share. And again, the idea is to just kind of from their experience, from their role, please do not hesitate to just describe it in a few words as well. What is your role inside your organization? Again, make us dream about how can other companies undertake the same actions, and what are as well your thoughts in regards of analytic and digital transformation as a whole. Who's the first one that would like to go first? Who's the first one that is going to take the word?
I can go, Alessandro.
Yes, I was gonna tell you, Sara. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So my name is Sara. I'm a senior manager at Tableau Software, looking after the Southern Europe region. So Tableau, for the ones that don't know us, we are a visual analytics company, software company. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for coming.
Okay, shall I start?
Go ahead, Trupti.
Yeah, so I am Trupti. I work for Children's Salon, and Children's Salon is UK's one of the leading e-commerce retailer for kids designer clothes. I work here as a lead data scientist, and this is to this company as a
Grazie.
I think we have someone that has forgotten to mute themselves.
Yeah, so my this company works into again into digital and marketing group for maximizing the digital acquisition and reaching new audiences, and I help them to have a better user experience and have good ROI on the campaigns and click-through rates and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trupti. Alessandro, you want to go next?
Yes, I'm Alessandro Bonaita. I'm group head of data science in Generali group. Generali is one of the bigger insurance company, multinational companies, but based in Italy. And I work in the headquarter or head office as responsible for a global data scientist team that support all the business units in developing their AI strategy.
Thank you, Alessandro.
I can also introduce myself to continue on the insurer space. Joël Farvault, so I'm a group head of augmented claim in AXA, based in Paris. And the mission of my department is to accelerate the claim transformation, leveraging AI machine learning. On the different topics, could be on claim analytics, but also leveraging image recognition and natural language processing, with the purpose to bring an improved customer experience.
Thank you so much, Joel. Last but not least, Giuseppe.
Hey, hi everyone, Giuseppe Amoroso from Enel. Enel is a multinational company operating in the energy sector. So we are generating, distributing and selling energy in 32 countries worldwide. I'm responsible for a function named Digital Strategy and Governance. So responsible for ensuring the overall coordination of our digital transformation program, including what we call our data-driven transformation journey. And so it's part of my team, our internal AI factory made of data scientists, data architects, and data engineering. And we are providing the group as a whole with machine learning services, and we are developing data products as well.
Perfect.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Giuseppe. So first question that I'm going to ask to you all, because you've positioned yourself. So what are some of the common challenges with building a data and analytics strategy? Giuseppe, would you like to go first?
Yeah, maybe building up on what Andrea has been presenting from Grenoble. before. So I would say we have seen at the very beginning of our digital transformation journey that there was a need of making technology no longer a problem. What does it mean? A large group as Enel is made of different business lines that have been growing over time through acquisitions or and so on and so on. So the application map was, I would say, uneven at least. And this was resulting in huge problems in making data available to everyone in the company. And this was actually the very first problem we have been working on. And not because of the data itself, but because of the need of making a kind of rationalization of our application map that is actually resulting now in an easier way of making data accessible and ready for consuming to the our colleagues or to the final users in the company. Then we understood the fact that on top of technology, you have to work it out to have your organization ready to manage data when data is becoming available. And this is why we have been working a lot to build up an organization that is now made of a central team. So my team actually, that is providing coordination support and specific know-how when it comes to advanced analytics and AI. And then a kind of network of internal teams to ensure proximity with business. So we went through an agile transformation in order to have in each and every single business line agile squads led by people from the divisions, people from the functions that knows very well the business challenges to be solved and can lead a team made of different type of persons then to identify the solution. On top of that, data culture. So we realized that you can have the best available technology, you can have the best available organization, but in the end, if your engineering on field is still relying on his gut feeling instead of looking at the results of the complex deep learning algorithms you have been developing, so you have spent a lot of money, you have spent a lot of efforts, and without achieving the results you were looking for. And this is why we are working a lot on making our people, I would say, increasingly more close to a data analyst than to a classical engineer we used to have in our company. Because, we are a company that has been dealing with the asset management for a long period of time. So I would say vast majority of our people were from engineering and classical background. And the combination of the three parties, so technology, governance, I would call it, processes and roles and responsibility, and then data culture, is actually the way we found out to be successful in having this transformation, I would say, properly addressed.
Great, thank you so much, Giuseppe. Alessandro, I'm gonna ask you to go next. I know that you manage one division in Generali that works cross-functionally across the group. Can you tell us, please, a little bit more about these three pillars of technology, governance, data culture, and how do you think that you are kind of driving this energy across your organization?
Yes. Coming to these pillars, I would say that the main challenge in identifying these pillars and defining an effective analytic strategy are, first of all, to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve. So defining an ambition for AI, which must be in line with your company's strategy, values, and context. And this is also fundamental to have the buy-in from your internal stakeholders, including the top management, which is an essential change agent for these kind of strategies. The second challenge is to correctly identify, as the colleague said, the strategic pillar. because this will lead also the following implementation phase of the strategy. So this pillar, I think, may be very different from company to company. Here, the ones that you mentioned, that the colleagues from Enel mentioned, I think there could be also other pillars, and they depends from the context of your companies and also from the level of AI maturity of your companies. Just to do an example, technology can be a strategic pillar for sure, but if I think to companies whose business is fully digital and they need to differentiate themselves from the competitors in terms of AI adoption, okay, I agree this is a real strategic pillar. While, for example, if your business is more traditional or more of, let me say, physical based, then technology is still a fundamental dimension, but it acts more a role of enabler. So while probably you have to focus more on evolving, upskilling your workforce to make it digitally ready. So the topic of the culture, the data culture, the cultural transformation that the colleague said, it's still really important. Last challenge in building a data and analytics strategy, I think, is that you have to engage the internal change agents, also designing together with them a shared monitoring system that must not be just a new way to control them, but also an element of a wider framework in which they can find the support to implement this strategy. So I'm really convinced that also because I work in a group function, that having a central team that supports the business units in achieving the targets of this strategy is fundamental.
All right, thank you so much. Trupti, do you want to take it away?
Yes. So I think when I'm working with the companies and when I'm working with the data science project, what I think is the companies who start with the data science project of late, they consider it as an independent unit, and they consider data as like data as one unit and the analytics as a separate unit, and the other organization on which the data is getting built is the third unit. So I think the main integration between the data and the analytics and the company has to happen so that the strategy will be like end to end. It cannot be an independent unit. The analytics cannot be an independent unit. Second thing, the company should have a vision of analytics. It just doesn't work that you want one specific unit to work on the data science projects and all the other company members are not aware of what is happening, because they are not able to contribute to your data science projects then, because the person who is a data scientist doesn't hold the domain knowledge of that business, and that has to come from the people who are working with the company. And I think that is where the problem of building the strategy for the analytics using the data is the main challenge, where the collaboration between the groups doesn't happen so well. Second thing is availability of the data. Companies do store the data to get most of it, but the availability is like it's either in silos where they are not interconnected. So the data science person has to come and do that connection before he starts on his data science projects. Third thing which I feel is like technology and the infrastructure. Probably now we don't have this concern of the technology and infrastructure when we have the cloud and collaborative working infrastructure. But in some time back, when this type of infrastructure was not available, the data was also limited because there was a cost associated with the storage, and that is why organizations were not so keen on storing all type of data. Now because of the cloud, it is available, and companies are spending limited money on the data storage because they are getting good benefit out of it. So I think all in all, to have a great analytics working through the company, you should have collaborative efforts from all the units from the company. And probably now, because of the technology, the the limitations of infrastructures have already gone, so we can make the best use of the available technology. Thank you.
Thank you. So I feel on your side, Trupti, that what you mentioned is that we need to democratize data across the company in order to get the results from the business line all the way to the top management.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you. Sara, I wanted to end with you this question because you have an holistic point of view since you work in one of the greatest software vendors. Can you please on your side share some, again, practices or what is the challenges that you've seen with your clients and how these clients have overcome these challenges? You're on mute, Sara.
Sorry, of course, Alessandro. And you know what? Giuseppe, Alessandro, and Trupti, they covered it all. So what I will do, instead of just saying again what they said, I will just conclude and maybe making a quick summary. The companies represented here today, both in the panel and in the audience, don't need an explanation why becoming data-driven is a matter of survival currently. But the reality is that most organizations, even if they understand they need to become analytics ready and to implement the data culture, they are falling short. Actually, if we look at recent survey, only 8 to 10% of companies are distinguishing themselves by being more data-driven. This means that most companies are falling behind. And at Tableau, we have been consumed with understanding what makes the difference for those few that are actually finding success. And as it has been already covered by the three speakers before me, this goes much deeper than simply deploying technology. It's more fundamentally about how we do things. And this is what we call it, and Alessandro actually called it by the name, no, actually Giuseppe mentioned it by the name, saying it's building a data culture. And becoming truly data-driven requires changing mindsets, attitudes, and habits, embedding data into the identity of the organization. People have to want to use data and encourage others to do the same. And of course, then there are very important areas like trust in data, having an effective data governance in place. Those are challenges that need to be addressed. But well, this is nothing new to you, it has been already mentioned by my colleagues here today. It's just a kind of conclusion.
Thank you so much, Sara. So speaking about challenges, Joel, from your point of view, what are some best practices that you can share and what are some results that you've seen in between, again, the before and after you have started or initiating something in your organization?
Thank you, Alessandro. Yes, the best practices that we have for some of them implemented that can bring value is first define your level of maturity. When I say define the level of maturity, let me explain. We speak a lot about data, but what is important is also to use data to measure our own performance and efficiency as a data manager, data expert, data leaders. So we need also data to measure our own success, I would say, or our own level. So it's important also to first evaluate, to have a clear KPI about our level of maturity regarding data culture, regarding platform, regarding data governance, regarding people as well. Do we have the right skills especially when we consider big corporate with many entities? Do we have proper skills in all our entities? So to have the proper measure, and it helps for the data strategy to define, okay, in this level, for instance, use case, the score is very good. But in this level for data culture or data governance, the score is not really good. Maybe it's something that I have to focus on my strategy. So I would say first using data, being ourselves, even data driven in a way that we make our job. And on this topic also as well, the second best practice is data quality. And data quality is the key, because you know all that. We always highlight the importance, garbage in, garbage out. We can have a very beautiful visualization, but if the data quality is not there, we won't bring the proper value for the business. So it's important to focus on that. We spoke about data governance, and yes, but linked to my also point about measure, it's also important to measure our data quality. We have very interesting material produced by the DAMA, Data Management Association, that brings a lot of interesting guidelines for data quality. So I think we can leverage that. And the last point, there is, I think, an issue because someone is...
Yes, Monsieur, if you can please put yourself on mute.
Thank you. Yes, and the...
I'm going to try to...
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And the third point is also data architecture. And data architecture, we need also, especially when we have a big corporate, to think about pattern, to think about reference, data architecture reference pattern, on covering master data management, data lake, analytics. That is very important, and not reinventing the wheel.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joel. Sara, getting back to you, what are on your side, from a software vendor perspective, these best practices that you've seen in order to get people excited about this data culture? What would you suggest companies to undertake, you know, with Tableau, with, you know, any other software vendor, in order, again, to get these people excited and kind of to beat this change of management that is the most important, in our opinion as well, competitor that we have in the market?
Yes, Alessandro. So yes, you can imagine at Tableau, we put a lot of thought on this. So we spoke with thousands of customers worldwide from all industries, and we took everything we learned, we put it together with our own internal experience and created a blueprint for building a data culture. So the blueprint, I'm going to post it here in the chat box, is you don't need to be a Tableau client or user to use it. This is really an agnostic guide on how to build a data culture. It's a step-by-step guide. So this methodology is filled with the best practices and real-world advice to help you every step of the way. It addresses the key elements of success that have been already vastly mentioned in previous testimonies today in this panel, across people, process, and technology. And again, I want to highlight the one that I'm personally most passionate about, that is people. You can't have a data culture without having people on board.
Totally agree.
Yeah, so to have a data culture, you need to engage people, getting them excited, having them skilled. So here, training and enablement is very important. And why not having an internal community for data, where people can share and discuss each other, so they feel supported. So please take a look at the link I just shared. Behind every step in your journey, you'll have a prescriptive and documented guidance to follow. It allows you to zoom out and see the big picture of what you have ahead in your journey, but also to zoom in on specific areas to fine-tune and improve. Take a look, and happy to take any questions offline.
Thank you, Sara. Next question is going to be for Giuseppe and Alessandro. You guys work in some institutions that have been kind of born since forever in Italy, Enel and Generali. Can you please tell us a little bit about your data and analytics journey? How have you seen from the last X numbers of years, this way of doing business, because at the end, that's what it is. I mean, we are leveraging the power of the information that are relying in data into taking practical actions in order to move forward into this business. Can you, again, please tell us a little bit about your experience?
Okay, Alessandro,
Either or.
do you want me to start?
Feel free to start, Giuseppe. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so a few words about our journey. So we began at the very beginning, since the very beginning, in deploying AI. So we are talking about data analytics, AI. So it's maybe a too wide, I would say, sector we are trying to address today. But so let's stick for a while to AI. Just to give you some feedback about our experience. So we began using AI to improve the way we operate our assets. So we are the largest renewable energies generator in the world. We are the largest electricity distribution network operator in the world, with more than 2.5 million kilometers of electrical lines managed today. And you can easily imagine the fact that, by using AI, so you can improve the way you operate your assets in an impressive way. But since the very beginning, we perceived that one of the main problems when deploying advanced analytics and AI projects in a large organization is what I call the POC syndrome. So we were plenty of proof of concepts going around. So none of them very successful when put at scale. Why? Because everything was really nice in a small and controlled environment, but nobody was caring about the fact that, in order to have your operation improved using AI or using data, you need to affect in a significant way your operational processes. So your operational processes have to be transformed, have to be redesigned from scratch by putting the insights you can retrieve from your data as the main driver of your decision-making process. And this was actually, on the seas, I would say, our main challenge, because then we moved to the relationship with our customers. We have a 70 million customer base, and it's very important for us to understand what our customers think, and to prevent churn, to prevent claims, and to tailor our offering, especially when we talk about advanced energy services, to cope with the specific need of you as a customer. And in order to do that, why don't we use data? We have, I would say, best of breed CRM platform in place. We are assuming that each and every single organization now has access to a bunch of data concerning the interactions we are having with our customer. But in the end, still, a lot of POC, a lot of provider and suppliers offering us black box solution that nobody knew what's going on inside it. And in the end, we realized the fact that we had the need of pushing on our people in order to have time-bound time to market. So we cannot accept anymore to have projects, going around for 1 year and a half. So it's not the time frame we can accept for such a project. So we have divided our project portfolio into minimum viable products. We began managing the data-driven projects as a normal project, so with no exceptions. So putting the projects into our portfolio management platform, asking people to measure the progress, asking people beforehand to specify what the ambitions of the project were, in order to have metrics, to comment on what Joel was saying, in order to measure then the effectiveness of each and single projects. Now we have, I would say, a robust pipeline, or more than 300 data-driven initiatives identified, And we are managing this complexity, having a kind of prioritization of what the most valuable and viable initiatives are, and focusing our resources. That I would say we have a limited number of resources. Still, we have a large team, but limited in number. And we are trying to have this prioritization done value-based, I would say. In the end, the problem is always related to the fact that when you get some insight from data, then you have to make sure that these insights are the, I would say, main engine that is driving then the decision-making process. And this is actually a challenge that, you know, everybody around this table, according to my experience, is fighting every day to have this challenge then and mission accomplished.
Thank you so much, Giuseppe. Alessandro, we have gained a few extra minutes. We're going to have to close the panel at 05. If you can kind of wrap up everything in a few minutes so we can leave 3-4 minutes for open questions.
Yes. I found many points in common with what Giuseppe just said. So coming to our journey, analytical journey in Generali, it started more or less in 2016 with the establishment of a central team in its head office. At that time, there were no fully dedicated analytics team in the group, but more, let me say, a patchy situation with few analytic experts scattered here and there, essentially in CRM teams. And in the first phase, which at the end of the day corresponds to the industrial plan 2016-2019, the strategic goal was to create awareness and appetite for analytics and AI in all the countries where Generali operates. So the main driver were internal evangelization, creation of a network to create internal demand for AI initiatives. And I have to say that a fundamental contribution came from the other headquarter business function that supported us as analytics and AI function in creating a bridge with the local business lines, because this bridge gave us the opportunity to evangelize the business people about possible use cases, but also I would say that we found a very fertile ground with a lot of ideas that generated tens of initiatives among proof of concepts, pilots, but also projects in production. And these seeds lead also to the creation of the first analytics team in the bigger countries. Consequently, in the second phase, which is the actual industrial plan 2019-2021, this strategic goal shifted its focus on making the adoption of AI much more pervasive and consistent. This in alignment with the overall Generali business strategy. So we focus our activity in supporting the business units in three main areas. First, developing their own local capabilities in terms of people and skills. And this led to have now almost 70% of our business units with the local analytics team, while the other can leverage on centralized delivery units. The second stream was to help the countries in developing a consistent approach to calculate the business benefits coming from AI use cases. And as my colleague just said, to prioritize them. So having a group roadmap that led to maximize also the reuse of local solution, and to avoid, and this is another common mistake, to avoid reinventing the wheel each time you start a new analytics projects, and also to promote the convergence between all the business units, which is another really important topic. So this second stream led to have a global roadmap with almost 200 AI initiatives for the next year and a half. Last point, we still support as a central analytics function the local initiative, but with a more comprehensive approach that also includes services like advisory, second opinion, shadowing, or training on the job of the local data scientist, with a particular focus on how to scale up and to put in production AI solution. Just to conclude, we can say that in very few years we did a lot of big achievements in this analytical journey, and this is also due to a great sponsorship by the top management that I think it's a really boost to make this strategy really effective.
There has to be an alignment as well from the top management then. Perfect. Musin, we have a few minutes left. Is there any questions, or I can eventually tackle the last question for the panelists?
Yes, let's see if somebody's writing question now. There is the chat, or any questions, guys, because it makes it more fruitful, your questions.
I have a question for Sara. You said that only 8% of companies succeed to get value from their data. Which are, in your opinion, the main challenges? Unmute, Sara.
It has been quite discussed today, but there are many challenges, mainly at the people level, having the people on board. What has just been mentioned, having support and top-down communication about what is expected from everyone to be done in terms of using data, having an internal community, having the data available for the right people and data that people trust, and everyone knows that that's the right data. This means having a good data governance strategy in place. I could be here the whole day stating what are the main challenges to having a good data culture in place. So I invite you, I just share the links, and there you can see what are the areas we have identified as the main ones.
Perfect,
I can add one more point. I think small organizations typically believe on intuition rather than data-driven decisions. And probably, again, that is one area where Sara's point comes as like only few succeeds, because they are able to take away that mindset from their mind to go from intuition to data-based decisions.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that we are perfectly on time. Musin, well, thank you so much for the panelists in order to be having engaged with us for these great discussions, and we'll give back the mic to Musin. Thank you again.
Thanks a lot, everybody. I hope it's visible from my background that it's going to be lunchtime. You see it or no? I don't see myself, but I hope you see it. So yeah, it's going to be lunchtime now. I don't have any food for you. I'm really sorry for that, but hopefully next year we will be meeting in Milan in a hotel Sheraton again and offering you croissant and coffee for the coffee break time and nice lunch. But stay with me still one more minute just to thanks a lot for the